Gentlemen, welcome to Trolling the Territory. It's going to be the loudest I'm going to be on this entire show because I'm amped. What are we going to talk about today? Man, we got a lot to get through. Joining me to do all of this, ladies and gentlemen, he's the human Fitbit all the way in Nashville, Tennessee. Leigh Aloysius Howison. How are you, good brother?
I just finished tracking all my macros, so I'm feeling great today.
Oh, well, somebody's in shape. I have drank probably 2 cups of coffee. We're going to get straight to it. We're going to hit a couple of things today. We're going to talk about some news. Obviously, a big weekend, Memorial Day weekend. And we had AEW's Double or Nothing. A lot to get through with that. But this week we did something a little different. Instead of watching the current product, which, by God, we've just started to realize. You'll notice there's also one person that's not here, and that's Mr. Wilkerson. We've got a hot take from him in a little bit. He's still on assignment. What is he on assignment doing? He's being a human being. That's what he's doing. Sorry, there's $2 in the bucket. We'll edit that out, folks.
60 seconds. 60 seconds in.
Can't even go 60 seconds, folks. That's what he said. That's what I said. But we're going to talk a lot about Monday Night Raw and Monday Nitro from May 27th, 1996. That's right. Here's something that's kind of cool about that. I was a huge, as I'm sure a lot of you are, huge fan of the Attitude Era, and I got to watch a lot of Monday Night Raw. Leigh, as we learned last week, did not get that opportunity. Maybe that was just me in a private conversation and you didn't hear it, but we're going to pretend like you heard it. Leigh did not watch WCW. Leigh, why did you not watch WCW?
We didn't have access to it in the UK. We only got WWF/WWE product.
There was no Turner affiliate?
No.
Okay.
No, there wasn't.
Well, either way, I made him watch it this week, and we're going to find out what he has to think. The night that Scott Hall debuted, that was the first night, quick fast fact, and then we'll get through it. But that was the first night that Nitro went 2 hours.
Yeah,
that's something that I thought was pretty interesting. Ric Flair had a VIP table. Anyway, we're we're going to move on. First thing we want to get to is news, and there is a whole lot of stuff that happened this weekend, specifically from AEW Double or Nothing. We saw the introduction of Mark Henry. Mark Henry, the world's strongest man, made his AEW debut in Jacksonville, where Tony Schiavone, I got chill bumps. I'm thinking about it right now. Tony Schiavone, as he's doing this intro, he's announcing it. When he goes to say the world's strongest man, my body, full on chills. Super fun. Leigh, what are your thoughts on Mark Henry? Is this a good opportunity for him to be going to AEW?
I think we could make the same argument for every ex-WWE retiree or pseudo retiree. The fact is I don't know if we've even spoken about this on the show or not, or even on the phone, but he's leaned out a lot, and he's been talking about having that one more match before he officially retires anyway, right. Even though I thought he already did officially retire.
I did too. I thought he was doing the thing that everybody should do when they. Yeah. I'm not trying to put him in the box of being old or anything like that, but he hasn't really. What is it? Out of sight, out of mind, right? I don't want to take anything away from his career or what he's choosing to do. He's just out of sight, out of mind. I wasn't honestly expecting that. He had brought it up on Busted Open. Mm-hmm. There was like a podcast special about breaking kayfabe, or is kayfabe dead, or whatever. That was a pretty interesting listen if you haven't listened to that. It's only like 30 minutes maybe.
Yeah.
It's Tommy Dreamer, Bully Ray, Mark Henry, and Dave LaGreca, if you can deal with that. But he's going to be on the new weekly television show Rampage.
Yeah.
It's going to start on TNT August 13th on Fridays. And it's going to be like, I'm assuming the Thunder to Dynamite. They're saying it's right. Of course it is. They're saying it's a companion show when they already have AEW Dark and Elevation. I was kind of shocked to see this of how many ex-WWE superstars are currently there. Just being reminded of the list.
Mm-hmm.
Cody Rhodes, Awesome Kong, Chris Jericho, Christian Cage, Cash Wheeler, Dax Harwood, Dustin Rhodes, Jake Hager, John Moxley, Leva Bates. Who is Leva Bates?
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is. They should have left her off, or him. Matt Hardy, Evan Bourne, Miro, Pac, Paul White, Sean Spears, Taz, and of course, Vicky Guerrero. Sting is also in that category. Jake Roberts, Arn Anderson, Billy Gunn, huge Hall of Famers.
Dean Malenko.
In that list. Who?
Dean Malenko.
Dean Malenko. He wasn't on that list. Why did they not include Dean Malenko on that list?
It's weird.
That's odd. Well, I mean, if he was going to wrestle, he's mentioned that he wants to do one more match, right?
Yeah.
Who would you put him up against?
We're talking Mark Henry again now.
Yeah, Mark Henry. Yeah, sorry.
Outside of maybe like him helping younger talent like Powerhouse Hobbs, that'd be cool for to see that matchup. That'd
be sweet.
Once Hobbs is a little bit more comfortable in the ring, anyway, I'll say.
If anybody could teach him that, it would be Mark, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's absolutely. We're talking the same wheelhouse. Outside of him, and I think you and I off air discussed Miro. Though I'm not as pumped on that yet as you are, but I'm willing to be. I'm willing to be turned. I don't have that. That's the biggest thing. Like I don't really have much else on that roster that I'm super pumped to see Mark Henry go against. You know,
what would it take for you to get invested in Mark Henry and Miro?
Some more time with Miro developing this particular story arc and character arc with him. He's still earning his stripes with me personally as a fan because of the crap that I've had to see for the first 6 months of his debut. So I don't believe him yet. Like, it's cool. Like, if you're the type of person that just comes in and just wants to see a match and then don't watch for another 6 months, then that's a different thing. But we're watching it every week. And I haven't forgotten, Miro. I haven't forgotten. You haven't earned Mark Henry yet.
No, I will say I completely agree with that. And it was nice to hear Miro on Busted Open prior to Double or Nothing talk about how he's wanting to. He doesn't. AEW isn't his home. His home is in Bulgaria. His home is in Nashville. His home is in Florida and in Los Angeles. He's like, those are my homes. I come here to make money and beat people up.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Keep doing that.
That's what we wanted.
So that's why I think the old Bobby Heenan quote? It may not have been Bobby Heenan. The unstoppable. No, it was Gorilla Monsoon. The unstoppable force meets the irresistible object. Yeah. I could see that between babyface Mark Henry and heel Miro. Yeah. I could also see it as I loved heel Mark Henry.
Sure.
Oh, heel Mark Henry was awesome.
Hall of Pain.
Hall of Pain. Somebody go get their weave split. Dude, that track.
Except he's not going to be able to use it. But
he's not going to be able to use it. Yeah. Oh, like, because if we would have walked oh my God, that would have been bigger than Tony Schiavone just saying the world's strongest man.
Boom,
if we just, oh my God.
Boom,
We got to figure out who did that and then remake
I think it was.
Was it Jim Johnston?
No, it was actually. Well, it might have been in conjunction with.
It was 3-6 Mafia. Oh,
it was
my
3-6
gosh.
Mafia. Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah,
dude, I wish I could play this. Somebody's gonna get it, dude. Somebody's gonna get it. Wow,
I love it. So good. Yeah. Basically, I like Mark Henry. I hope this doesn't come off as me putting him down, but as they have advertised him so far as not as an active talent, if you look up any type of dirt sheet or anything, they are advertising him, and Tony Khan is advertising him as a broadcaster, like ex-Big Show, like Paul White. I don't think there's really anybody out there that's looking for Mark Henry to be a live broadcaster. Like, I love the guy to death, but man,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Oh no, I've listened to Busted Open on Saturdays. I know what you're saying.
Again, love him to death. I just don't think that. I mean, I wouldn't do it, and for the same reason.
I wouldn't either. I can't do that.
Yeah, and
I'm not trying
I don't
to do
think he has
as
good a grasp on the English language.
He is very his disposition on Busted Open is not the same as his in-ring disposition. He's more of a dad.
Yeah.
He's more of a regular human being that also, when he does get fired up about pro wrestling, holy crap, is it believable?
Yeah.
And he's got a wealth of knowledge. I think him being a backstage person from a different perspective than what Paul White has. They kind of both had the same career trajectory in that, Mark Henry signed the longest WWE contract, I think, ever. I think I may have heard that. I might have made that up. I don't know. But he was there for a really long time. He is more acquainted with that system. Think about the IP as AEW that's obtaining from getting his wealth of knowledge as a big man, as a black man in the wrestling industry.
Yeah.
And being able to facilitate that with your roster, that's huge. I want that. I want the IP that Mark Henry has more than I want the commentary that Mark Henry has.
Same.
I also want to see him in the ring.
Yeah.
Desperately.
Same. I absolutely agree with that side of it, which that is the other part of why the reason he's being hired. I say hired. Signed. The issue, obviously, is whether or not they're actually going to end up listening to it or not, because so far they haven't.
Yeah. Well, listening is a key factor in a next piece of news that I have. Listening to Adnan Virg was not something we wanted to keep doing. No. I don't even think he wanted to keep doing it. Adnan is gone. Who's replacing him? I'm not familiar with this guy.
It is Jimmy. Is it Jimmy Smith? Sorry,
that's what I'm reading here.
Jimmy Smith. Funnily enough, I didn't know that his longest tenure was with Bellator MMA.
Neither did I.
And he worked for UFC. I know him. I don't know him intrinsically. I know of him and I've heard him on American Ninja Warrior.
That's a fun show that I haven't watched too many episodes of.
You don't really think about the commentators on those shows, but they do
you think about the botches.
Yeah. But to be honest, they drive the show. They have to, So it'll be interesting. He comes from at least a fighting background. So it's not just some random broadcaster that brought him from ESPN, Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, random is an understatement. Adnan was quite a consummate professional, and including bringing up, he wants the travel schedule and he wants to be at home and
right.
Yeah, for sure. Want to have somebody screaming in his ear every night. Let's talk about more hearing. I see this here that you put down. Jericho talks about Tony Khan's effort to license music. Yes. Fun fact, everybody. Leigh and I do music for our jobs. So I'm interested as heck to hear what this nincompoop has to say about music licensing. I wonder, okay, real quick, hot take. I wonder if Jericho truly understands the impact of his song and public performance. And I really, really hope that he's taking full, I hope he's taking as many opportunities as he can to make money off of his terrible song being played right now.
You'd think he absolutely would. I mean, there's some
I don't know
royalties right there.
I may have had an interaction with this team before that makes me think that he doesn't think that way. But tell me about this article. What's the deal here? What was he talking about?
He was talking about how they tried to license AC/DC's Back in Black.
For what?
Was it for Double or Nothing? Or maybe it was just a previous show.
Okay.
Let's see here. I hadn't had time to read the actual article. I just saw the headline.
No, I'm just going through looking at stuff that I'm just like, because
here we go.
Peek behind the curtain. We have a ton of links here, and I'm just picking stuff out that's jumping out to me that Lee had posted. I hadn't really seen yet.
Here we go. Yeah.
Okay.
We actually even tried to license Back in Black by AC/DC, and they wouldn't even call us back.
Sorry, I just peaked my microphone all to hell.
Listen to this. The next day I saw it on an Applebee's commercial, so I guess Applebee's is more AC/DC friendly than we are. Well, yeah.
Yeah. They sure are. Yeah. You know what? When it's 2 for $1 at Applebee's, it's always 2 for $1 at Applebee's.
Yeah,
I think that's Chili's actually. But anyway.
It's all the same. Fridays, Chili's.
Yeah. Here's something that's chilling. I will say this. Chris Jericho said that portions of their Stadium Stampede match were filmed over 4 days. They did that for 4 days. We're going to get there. We're going to get there.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking
to that.
Is that the part that they wanted to have Back in Black playing when, I don't know if you saw it, I thought Jake Hager was going to fall to his death. When they started rappelling and Jake Hager's rope just like I was like, oh God, he's going to die. Because I thought there for a second until I knew it was pre-taped when the limo moved up way too quick on the field. And I was like, damn it, that took me out of it. Yeah. You could have, with editing and post-production, you could have had me. Fuck, I'll save it.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't know it was pre-taped because I didn't watch the entirety from start to finish. Like I had to fast forward bits. So maybe that kept me in it. You know what I'm saying? You love
spending money on something that you have to fast forward through.
Exactly.
Speaking of paying, how much do you think Cardi B is going to get paid for SummerSlam? According to Mandatory, it looks like Cardi B is going to be hosting SummerSlam.
Yeah, they've started to report this everywhere now. So,
oh my gosh, that's going to be fun, dude.
It is. I don't really know what to expect. I mean,
that's the best part.
These guest hosts. I mean, half the time they don't really do anything. They just kind of. She's
a huge ass wrestling fan.
She is, though,
which is so cool.
I want to bring something up here because I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but
it's okay.
But there was an episode of Raw where her name got brought up, and then there was some dialogue between her and some wrestlers, and this was like a couple months ago. Okay. And she was flattered, but she was like, "Why is someone bringing up my name or whatever?" And then she listed off to another fan a bunch of wrestlers and when she used to watch it and how big of a fan she was. And then someone asked her about The Rock, and she was like, that was before I started watching. And then she listed off all these other wrestlers that wrestled while The Rock was wrestling. And so I'm a little sketch about it.
Awesome.
She was like, I was into Booker T, Triple H, Stone Cold Steve Austin, but she said The Rock was before her time. I was very
she the one fan that was watching during like 2000, 2001, 2002 when it was
during the Scorpion King?
She was watching while Rock was filming a movie. Interesting. I want to give her the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I know. I know she is a big fan. I think I just hope that they can outdo or at least make it as interesting as the Bad Bunny thing, because at least he had a massive respect for it and really wanted to put on a good show. And we've read so many things about how hard he worked in order to make it convincing, and didn't just want to come in and shit on the whole thing, you know? Yeah. So, and he's even interviewed afterwards. He, I don't know if you saw, he had a sit down interview where he told, I think it was LeBron James and another high profile athlete. He said that WrestleMania was the most fun he's ever had at anything, including the Grammys, including anything. He said it was the most rewarding thing that he's ever done.
That's sick.
Which was awesome. I was like, okay, cool. That's some respect for the industry, at least, you know?
Hey, so he showed his respect in the ring.
Yeah. I think so too. Despite what like some diehards will say, like I think that he worked his ass off. So yeah.
I tell you, some people that have also worked their asses off, the Iconics. I'm sure we're referring to the Busted Open interview that they did with Dave and Bully. From Mandatory, the Iconics plan to stick together and that they are a package deal. I couldn't see them any way else. Any other way, rather.
No. It kind of just goes to show how out of touch the WWE are.
Yeah,
none of us can.
Yeah, I was really pumped because, to my knowledge, off the top of my head, right now when we're recording June 1st, the year of our Lord 2021, I can't remember a female duo outside of Mae Young and Fabulous Moolah that were that funny. Mm-hmm. But could also work.
Yeah.
I mean, are they the greatest wrestlers of all time? No, but they could be. They could be.
You know, they don't even have to be.
Fair. They're that entertaining.
You're right. No one was looking at them to be the best wrestlers in the world. They were.
Are we, dude? That's okay. Wait a minute. That's a good point. Are we really looking for in-ring talent, or are we looking for storyline?
This is going to sound terrible, but when it comes to a lot of the female talent for me, I don't look for in-ring talent first, because the bar has been set so low. I think with them, if a female talent or female tag team comes along that are just undeniably talented in the ring, then awesome. Then that's what you go with. But if you have a team like Iconics, who are everything else first, and then they just happen to be athletic too, and I'll say a bit more Peyton Royce than Billie Kay as far as in the ring. I think that she can go.
Agree to disagree.
You think it's the other way around?
No, I think they're equally. They both have equal talents. Gotcha. As we'll touch on later, okay. Ric Flair and Arn Anderson were two completely different performers, but their in-ring styles kind of matched their personas.
Sure.
I think that with the right coaching, and I really hope they go to AEW. I think there's enough people there that they may have worked with previously. They may have previously worked with Arn Anderson. They may have previously worked with Dean Malenko. Think about it.
Yeah.
If this is, again, I'm going to take a quick detour and tangent. This is why sometimes I think Tony Khan's a genius. You're acquiring all of this WWE talent. I think you're acquiring them more for their intellectual property than you are their in-ring work.
Okay.
So I think a lot of those hires, if you list we read off earlier, I think a lot of those hires are strategically placed so that as they onboard more bigger talent, he's got legendary people. Hopefully, I'm not going to say that. That's going to be morbid, but hopefully we have access to them for a very long time. I think that the Iconics would do great in AEW over anywhere else. I don't see them doing traditional Southern, Mid-Atlantic type promos on NWA. I don't see them not in front of people and not on a large scale that TNA doesn't have and probably won't have. Impact. They won't have for a long time. Nobody else right now, to my knowledge, has that level of production that isn't already a subsidiary of WWE. So to me, they have to go to AEW.
Yes, I 100% agree. It would be an absolute waste for them to go anywhere else right now. Right. Because they would instantly be on the top of that roster.
Right.
Like, even if they weren't pushed that way, they are already.
They're already.
Yeah. So why would they even want to go anywhere else? You know, take any personal reasons out. Like, professionally, that would be dumb for them to not go there.
Ooh, here's a booking idea for you. They sign with AEW. They show up at Full Gear, right? Mm-hmm. And at, what's the next pay-per-view? All Out. So at All Out, all the way from All Out to Full Gear, they have a women's tag team championship invitational. The women's tag team championship will cross both AEW, New Japan, Impact, Ring of Honor, like wherever. These tag team championships can go anywhere they want and be fought and defended at all those different promotions. So all these women wrestlers have the opportunity to compete for this main championship that lives with AEW. That opens the door for more negotiations. That would also elevate a lot of the talent in the women's division that isn't being utilized and build it all off the Iconics. They deserve that. They're incredible. They could work with anybody, anywhere.
Yeah.
No reason not to. Anything else you want to add about that?
No, not really. I just to circle back, I think that they are an incredibly talented female tag team, which is so rare in the business anyway. Yeah. It was stupid to break them up, and it was equally as stupid to let them go. So I hope that wherever they land, it's in front of as many viewers as possible. Right. I do want to add, on a side note, I still think that Tony Khan is just signing whoever will come right now. I don't think that there is a plan. If you could prove to me that any of their TV show had long-term booking,
I can't.
Then I would entertain the idea that he has long-term plans for intellectual property with these wrestlers. Maybe. And I don't see it at all.
Maybe I could.
Okay. Well,
I'll work on that.
So far, no one has been able to. So. and people much smarter than us haven't been able to either. So
yeah, I'm trying to be optimistic. I know,
but you don't. The thing is, you don't have to be, because
I know I don't have to be.
At the end of the day, something's going to happen anyway. He's hiring all this. He's signing all this talent. Something is going to happen, good or bad, and it's either way. It's going to be a spectacle. So
yeah. I'm for maybe it's my own mental health.
Fair enough.
Maybe if I hate it so much, I'll be like, well, I have nothing to hold on to. Wrestling doesn't exist anymore. Which, let's talk about wrestling not existing for John Cena. He's apparently going to return for the July 16th Raw, or was that SmackDown?
They're in talks for it. That would be the SmackDown. Man. And they are, and at least, you got to take these things with a grain of salt. At least the talks are to have him, Roman, for the Universal Championship at SummerSlam.
I'm for it.
Yeah, I am too, just because it's
totally for it.
It's fans, Cena, and Roman. So cool.
New Roman.
And new Roman.
Times New Roman versus
Times New Roman.
I Can't See Me.
This is awesome. Which do you remember? You remember the last time they faced each other? It was basically Cena giving him a live promo class on live television.
Oh man, that was one of my most, outside of the debut of Santino Marella in Italy. That was incredible. That by far my most favorite segment ever.
Yep.
The greatest thing about the Santino Marella debut was that Bobby Lashley didn't show up because somebody put something in his luggage. And all the soccer chants that happened that night, Vince McMahon, getting in his face like, "Who are you? Look at these shoes." Like, it was my favorite thing. But Cena handing it to Roman and being like, "What? It took you this long to? It's a promo, kid." It's good,
so great.
He was like, "I can do you part time better than you can do you full time." It's like, oh man, give me more. The reality era.
Tough love. It was tough love on TV, and I love it. So I'm very interested to see what, if that does pan out, if what comes of that. Even
we may have to actually watch Raw. Well,
hopefully
sorry.
not.
Well, let's do this. Let's change gears. Right. We spent a good 30 minutes on news. Not bad for us. Let's do this. Let's talk about this past week briefly with wrestling and ratings. We typically do talk about that. Last week, Raw got 1.619 million viewers. SmackDown 1.755. These may be up or down. I'm just telling them to you. NXT had only 698,000.
That's up.
And we couldn't we couldn't find anything about AEW's ratings, just because they were this past week on Friday, which will be on moving forward. Do you have it?
I want maybe 1 minute while I find Meltzer and
you find that, and I'm going to tell everybody why I'm right about something. So remember last week I was talking about the Young Bucks? I brought up the fact that Rick Knox is a rat. The reason why, and this may go into my long-term storyline with AEW and Tony Khan, and why I secretly think he's a genius. Probably the only person outside of a bunch of marks in basements. But I didn't watch the video. I did watch the video. I posted a clip of it on our Instagram. If you haven't followed us on Instagram @TrollingPodcast, I'll let you figure out what that was about. But in the YouTube series Being the Elite, the Young Bucks were shown paying off referee Rick Knox in an airport. So a heel referee may be part of their act going forward. This proves my point that, not necessarily proves my point. I just feel like they've been dropping hints this entire time, kind of greasing us up that Rick Knox is incompetent. JR and Tony Schiavone have been talking about it. They buried him during Double or Nothing several times, and rightfully so, as our close personal friend of the show. No, he's not. Jim Cornette's podcast, he talks about that a lot, that JR and sometimes Tony have to really get the smell of grisly death off of them by blatantly calling out the hypocrisies that are going on in the ring. I'm going to leave it at that. That's my thoughts, and I'm sticking to them like stink on doo-doo. Leigh, have I killed enough time?
I'm trying to find what's the guy's name that works with Dave Meltzer?
Brian Alvarez.
That's what. Okay, I just couldn't remember his name.
I can't believe I remembered that.
He posted and I just remembered that he actually posted the ratings, and so it was pretty low.
Yeah,
from what I can remember.
Well, it was a Friday night. Yeah, I was feeling all right
at 10 p.m.
At 10 p.m. and we're open for business. # West Virginia Wild and Wonderful. So yeah, I don't blame. I don't blame that. Well, anyway, let's do this. We're going to take a quick break where Leigh is going to drop in a music sample. I'm just kidding. We're not going to take a break. We're going to start talking about what we watched this week instead of watching current product, as the kids say. The current product is garbage. So we decided in celebratory fashion to watch both Monday Night Raw and WCW from May 27th, 1996, the night that Scott Hall debuted on Nitro. As I said earlier, this was the first 2-hour episode of Nitro. And overall, the show drew 4,300 and 900 fans. Only 1,811 paid a gate of 22,168. That's directly from The Observer, because I got a Observer membership. Always wanted to do that. Aside from the Hall debut, the first 2 hours of Nitro confirmed all the fears about WCW's inability to produce interesting television for that length of time on a weekly basis. Where have we heard that type of commentary before? Oh, wait, we didn't hear it about AEW.
No.
It's the same thing. That's why I loved watching these two shows. WCW was new in its infancy. As we stated earlier, Lee had never watched that much of WCW. You'd seen big moments before. You saw the Hogan turn. You know, I don't want people to think that you're not, you're completely, this is going to be like a reaction video we put on Twitch of you reacting to Sid busting his leg open.
Exactly. No, it's nothing like that. Right. I know all the big moments for the most part. I feel like there were certain things that from watching this show that I was like, oh, wow. I just didn't realize quite how many of these wrestlers flip-flop back and forth from the two companies.
Yep. Perfect.
Yep.
I mean, Ted DiBiase, all kinds of stuff. Big Boss Man. Yeah. It's great. Chris Jericho even.
Yeah, of course.
So let's dive in, man. What was it like for you watching, or at least skimming? I'm not going to hold you to watching every single second of that show, just like I'm sure you wouldn't expect me to watch the entire episode of Raw. But what stuck out to you? Did you have any 3 counts? Did you just to explain that whole thing? 3 count is that won the night. 2 count is we almost got it. 1 count is it was good, but it was worth mentioning. We have other things like tap outs where we just really don't ever want to see that again. Like we give up. This is kick outs even. Kick outs is wasn't really expecting that, right? Could also call it a false finish. We're working on our lingo. But Lee, what did you have about Nitro? What was the experience like?
So I want to say that right off the bat, it felt more professional.
Really?
Yeah, because right off the
Raw?
bat, then not necessarily than Raw.
Okay.
Then everything that we're watching now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So not only they've advertised this is the first 2 hour block, right?
Right.
So they said for the first hour it's going to be Shivani and Zbyszko,
right?
And then the second hour we'll have the regular commentary team of Bischoff and Heenan, and it's like okay, you've already set up like 2 very different shows, which is awesome, like stick around for the second hour,
right.
That first hour open up and I know it seems old school, but you've got Tony Schiavone and Larry Zbyszko standing giving us the rundown of the show. Like, dude,
I know. Yeah.
I'm like, this doesn't happen anymore. And this is what should happen. This is why we liked that SmackDown, that rewind SmackDown so much,
Yes.
It feels like it's a fight night.
Yeah. And they're ringside, the crowd's behind them. The ambience adds a lot to this presentation.
Absolutely. I
want to stay on that. Real quick.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So the production aspect of it is huge.
Yeah.
Today, and a lot of people have said this recently, it's screens everywhere, and not just the Thunderdome.
No.
Even before that, when LED screens started becoming a thing, it seemed like WWE one entire WrestleMania entrance was nothing but an LED screen.
Yeah.
Like the set creation is just gone. Why build a set when I can put up a screen and have multiple sets and maybe have like 1 truck of props? The rest of it is just screens that we've rented for the night. Brilliant move on WWE's part.
Yeah.
But it leaves a little to be desired. With Nitro, you had 4 sides of truss for ring lighting. And it was just all white Parcan washes turned all the way up, right? Get that really bright TV. There's not a single shadow in the ring. All motion is captured in vivid detail. Rarely did they ever dim the ring lights when the wrestlers would get in the ring. I'm sure they would be lowered during the entrance, but not always.
No.
The entrance ramp was well lit, with the exception of a lot of haze to capture the colored lights that were coming out of the LED fixtures that were on the entrance. It was also reflected by a lot of the aluminum on the set. The WCW signs were aluminum, like that diamond-plated horseshit. Sorry. And the light would be bouncing off of those. There were tons and tons of pyro. It looked like a smoky room the entire night for all the pyro that they let off. As someone who went to a Nitro and went to the sold out that was in, I think, 97 in Charleston, where Scott Hall tasered Goldberg and beat him. I was in the building. Unreal.
That's awesome.
I think that was right. Don't quote me on that. That may not be the same night, but that's what I remember right now. But yeah, just the feel of that was huge. We saw a lot of that in Raw, but I just wanted to create the visual for those of you that you're just listening to this. I want you to remember all of those moments and kind of come with us on Leigh's first experience of a full Nitro. Continue.
Yeah. So essentially it felt with fans, with the commentary. I'm going to focus a lot on commentary.
Yeah.
Because they made the show. They absolutely made the show. From both commentary teams, absolutely overselling and overhyping the horsemen like Flair and Arn versus Mongo and Kevin Green.
Yeah.
I mean, they did it through people's entrances. They were arguing about it through other people's matches. Like the entire show, they talked about it, and I thought to myself, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
it's really brilliant. Like they're getting heated about it. Like the commentators towards each other, they're getting heated about like who, like the heel commentator and the face commentator constantly going back and forth about who's going to get the better of who, and they're insulting NFL players, and they're insulting, Flair and Arn because Mongo and Green are much bigger and more impressive athletes, and it really stuck out to me. Like, this is what commentators are supposed to do. It's not just, oh, next match, switch on to this. Next match, switch on to this. Next match, switch on to this. Which everything feels so generic now. I was really impressed. I really did enjoy it. You told me that I would love Shivani because I don't love him right now. I mean, I'm fine with it. Right. Like we've discussed, I'd rather hear him and JR all day than Excalibur. But I loved him. Yeah. He was great play-by-play guy. And man, Larry Zbyszko.
Yeah, dude.
What an underrated, amazing heel commentator.
Thank you. Yeah. Zbyszko did a phenomenal job. He, at some points, is kind of like a coach. And explaining why heels are doing certain things they're doing, why baby faces are doing what they're doing, talking about body parts. Really, not only he's also doing play-by-play in this. Yeah. But he's also giving us perspective. Tony Schiavone is a broadcaster's broadcaster. Right. Oh, yeah. Okay.
It was great. So, I mean, I'll give a quick kind of recap of the show. Yeah. It opened with my 3 count, just because I finally got to. I had to go back to 1996 to see a really good tag match.
Yeah, dude, it was so good. Oh man!
But I want to say this. This is really important that I verbalize this correctly. Okay. We've spoken in the past. I've made it very clear that one of the things that takes me out of modern wrestling is the size of wrestlers. Okay. When I see the first people out are the American males to this hyper cheesy clapping, getting the crowd to clap along. Oh, these must be the baby faces, you know.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Dude.
But yet I look at the size of them and go, well, I wouldn't mess with them.
Dude, oh man, we have to talk about anything else in the entire show.
But yeah, but that's what I mean. Instantly, I was like, okay, yeah, super cheesy, but they would scare me still walking down, a dark alley, even though they are the baby faces. And I don't get that from most, between NXT, AEW, and half of WWE's main roster. There's so many small guys, and it doesn't feel like that anymore.
Know what?
What?
You're right.
Yeah. On this show.
I want to stay on that for 1 second. You're so right. I can't think of a babyface team right now that I would see and be like,
yeah.
Mm-mm.
Right.
I'm good.
I'm good.
And I'm not talking about, I might be talking about Viking Raiders. I don't know.
Yeah.
If I saw them in a Walmart parking lot,
I wouldn't.
Make sure my car's locked.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, and not everyone. There are so many of the smaller guys now that has what has taken me out of it. Yeah. Back then, you say anything you want about steroids, about these guys were overjacked and
they're entertainers.
Yeah, that was the whole point.
Yep.
Even though it was the second hour, I'm bouncing around a little bit in the second hour, to prove my point. The one cruiserweight match, just so you guys know, there was one cruiserweight match in the entire show. Okay. It was Hard Work Bobby Walker versus Brad Armstrong. Both of these guys individually weigh more than the Young Bucks do together. Okay.
Oh, man.
They were the cruiserweights. I mean, I'm exaggerating, obviously, but that's what I'm talking about. I even wrote down, I got to make sure I say this. There was very sparingly used dive spots even in the cruiserweight match.
I don't think that was something that people at this time in WCW, or even in, sorry, I had to scratch my beard, folks. I don't think that that's something that was really prevalent at the time, just to kind of, give equal time. A lot of people weren't doing dives back then. There wasn't a whole lot of high risk maneuvers. And if it was high risk, it meant something.
Yeah. And
really, really meant something.
It was apparently at the risk of being berated on live television, because in the Steven Regal, old William Regal, match with Alex Wright later that night, which was also a fantastic match. Alex Wright was relatively new at that point. He does a dive over the top rope, and Bobby Heenan instantly says, "You can't pin him there, you idiot. Get him back in the ring if you want him."
Yes.
They weren't shy about saying that's a stupid move. The commentators, it always has been. So I'm starting to almost get an idea of why all these older guys make fun of it so much now. So,
sure. Okay.
Anyway, the Flair and Arn with Woman and Miss Elizabeth, from the beginning, from the entrances versus American Males, from the entrances all the way to the promo at the end was perfect for me. Yeah. That was great. Yeah, man. So that was my 3 count. Nice. There's tons of promos and kind of like montage spots, which I thought were just, I think
the pumping iron thing was fantastic.
I mean, it was fantastic. It obviously really cheesy, but it made me feel great just watching it. I was just like, this is great. I just want to see more of this. This is fantastic.
Just seeing Kevin Green and Steve Mongo McMichaels try to get each other pumped up in the 90s. Right?
Yeah.
Forget everything about today, like when you go to work out and what dudes are saying in the gym. Like, they were trying to be as riveting as they probably were, as riveting and explicit as they could possibly be in 1996. Even though it was meant to be like aggressive, it was the most wholesome thing on the whole show.
It was so good. Pumping iron in the gym is so good. There was a match later, which is now, I think everyone forgets what the match was when Scott Hall first interrupts. But it was Steve Dahl versus the Mauler. Do you remember either? I don't remember either.
I remember that there was a match when. Yeah. You know what? I may have not remembered there was a match going on when Scott Hall debuted. I just like, you hear it all the time when Scott Hall jumped the fence, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He jumped the fence in the middle of a match between 2 jobbers.
Yeah, it was great. It was iconic. There was one noticeable. I just wanted to make note of a certain bump that Steve Dahl took from the Mauler from corner to corner, which was a fall away slam that he threw him off the top rope and literally bumped all the way to the other corner, which looked incredibly painful. So I'm going to give him credit. I don't even know if he's alive anymore, but that was awesome.
Yep.
Next match up was Sergeant Craig Pittman.
Well, hang on.
Oh, yeah.
We skipped over the promo.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's more to that. The promo, to me, it's like a 2-part promo because this is when Scott Hall first interrupts and he teases later on. My apologies. I should probably say that he really, even though I put there, he interrupts with his now iconic promo. It's not really until later that he says those words, you want a war. It doesn't mean anything until he's speaking to Bischoff later. So
it doesn't, but he does name. I wanted to do it in the context, or I want to mention in the context that he brings up Nacho Man, right? Which is the thing that they've been going after. I was actually at the taping in Charleston in January of '96.
Yeah.
Where Mean Gene Okerlund said that WWF is hiring new talent that is almost as old enough for Social Security.
Yeah.
So he's not only is he being Scott Hall, challenging and talking about the war, and that he goes anywhere he wants.
Yeah.
He wants to talk to that Ken Doll, whatever, weatherman, wannabe weatherman, talks about the Nacho Man. I just, to me, it is an iconic promo. Billionaire Ted, right?
Yeah.
Makes the gesture about a checkbook. I do think it's iconic in that was something that even the fans that were live were like, what's going on? Tony Schiavone sold it.
Yeah.
Hey, can we get somebody out here? And Tony Schiavone later claims that Nick Patrick was a good man for coming out and helping them out and get that guy out of here. Like, didn't even mention his name.
Right.
Incredible. Going back to storytelling we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. And so I'll agree. The whole thing was obviously iconic because you remember him standing in the ring. I think after watching it because I was writing these notes as I was watching it live or not live, right. You know what I'm saying? Once the whole thing was over, I think it stood out to me more obviously at the end of the show,
Sure.
Those lines that he was saying, like, we're taking over and get your 3 best biggest, baddest guys because you want a war, you got it, that type of thing. And so like those things badass. Just like stuck out to me. But yeah, you're right. He did. He said all that stuff in the ring, but really teased later on. He said,
yes.
Which was awesome. Billionaire Ted. I love that. So after that, which they Schiavone and Zbyszko were confused as to what happened to the rest of the match, which was great. I love that. So I guess that didn't have a conclusion. Cool. All right.
They kept it up. We're just going to keep going here.
It's fantastic.
Which sold it even more. I mean,
100% it did.
Just took it to another level. Anyway,
It was great. Sergeant Craig Pittman, who I'm not familiar with, but I am familiar with his manager, Teddy Long.
Holla, holla, holla.
Versus DDP, Diamond Dallas Page. Man, I did not realize that his entrance music, was it always the Bad Nirvana ripoff music?
Dude, it was Smells Like Teen Spirit, but like
backwards.
Jimmy Hart, man. Oh yeah, baby, I can do that, baby. I got you, baby.
That music was terrible.
I believe it was Jimmy Hart. I'm not even going to look it up, but I was a big fan, man. There was one time we were on the road and we were doing Guess This entrance music. I was playing Lee, I think you were driving at the time. Shit, I may have been driving. But I was playing you.
Sorry, Mom.
Sorry. This was this was the iPhone 3G. I don't want to hear it. We didn't know back then. Okay. We just didn't know. I was playing interesting. I'm pretty sure I played DDP's music for you.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I know I played Ass Man, and I played it really, really loud.
Of course. Like, I would have got that in a heartbeat.
Right. Jake woke up. He's like, hey, man.
I guess you would have got me on any of the WCW guys because I didn't know.
Yep.
I will say that like half of the music, I try not to judge it too much because back then it's hard to get everyone being an ace. It's not like they have any excuses. They have no excuse nowadays. No. So when you see a whole show like AEW where every single song sounds the same.
Oh, dude, NXT.
Yeah.
NXT's music is terrible.
Awful. It
is so bad.
It's just like, guys, you can mix it up, you know? Like,
yes, you can mix it up.
I'll give that to the Acclaimed. More on that later. But I'll give that because that's, you know, they don't sound like anybody else. It's instantly recognizable. So I'll give that to them. Okay.
Let's blister through all this shit because I want to hear about that.
Just so I can give the Acclaimed a compliment.
Yeah.
That's great. Apparently, so DDP steals a victory with a diamond cutter with that. Great. Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Recap video shown of Randy Savage's mental breakdown that's keeping him off TV. I don't know much else about it other than that. But you know, they've made a big deal out of it the whole way through the show. So, I mean, this is a big thing.
Right.
That's great. After the break, Mean Gene.
Mental Health Awareness Month is over.
It's over. It's done. Yeah, it's June 1st now.
Pride Month.
Exactly. Speaking of Pride Month, after the break, we have Mean Gene with Shark.
Can I just read your note, please?
Yeah, sure, go.
He's yelling a lot, and it's not very good.
I really do miss Gene Okerlund.
Oh, me too, man. Like prime this era, Gene Okerlund.
And I am sad that I didn't get to see so much of this live, you know?
Let me tell you a quick story. I'm sorry, I have to. Yeah. The Nitro that they shot in Charleston, at the beginning of the show, there were like 3 or 4 dark matches. That was like the longest event outside of the Superstars taping that I talked about on episode 1, but that had to have been the longest episode or longest house show TV taping pay-per-view that I've ever been to. At the beginning, Gene Okerlund is trying to talk to Hulk Hogan at the entrance ramp for like a pre-tape thing. And you know what? This may not have been at this time because I don't think Hogan was there. This was later. Okay. Hogan was trying to cut this promo, but there was a drunk fan that was like on the entrance aisleway, like, you know, right on the seat that's like right next to the barricade, just screaming. Some drunk dude just screaming at Hogan. And like they had to stop the interview segment and keep doing it over to the point where Mean Gene Okerlund cut a promo on this guy and got him thrown out.
I love it.
Like on the mic, he was like, hey, hang on, Terry. Listen here, young man. It just like went off on him and the place erupted. They got him out of there. They did the promo over and it was just like they turned the lights down and Hogan and Gene are standing there with the lights off. They moved the cameras over to the crowd. Hulk Hogan's just like high-fiving Gene Okerlund like, dude, that was awesome.
I love it. Listen, I have a quote from him. It's my quote of the night. Okay. I have a quote from him later. I'll get to it. Don't you worry. Okay. It's awesome.
Go ahead. Thanks for indulging me.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll skip to the second hour because we have a commentary team change to Eric Bischoff and Bobby Heenan. Again, so happy I get to hear Heenan like in his heyday as a commentator, obviously not as a wrestler, but more selling of the match at Great American Bash, which was the Horsemen versus the football players.
Exactly.
Horses versus the future Horsemen. They can kind of no-sell Scott Hall's interruption. They grace over it. They don't. Eric Bischoff says, "I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, and we're going to move over it," kind of deal. And so they're doing a really good job at kind of faking that it was a he. Yeah.
he wants to come here. He wants to show up. He wants to talk to me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, if that were to happen today, no one could do it like this.
No, not at all.
It couldn't be done.
Exactly. So, first match of the second hour, right at the top of the hour, which I love the way they format this too. You know, they had their World Heavyweight Championship match, not as the main event. They had it to start the second hour to almost that's their landmark. This is our first ever 2-hour taping. So to kick off our second hour, we're going to change the whole show up, and we're going to give you right in the middle of the show. We're going to give you our World Heavyweight Championship match.
That's pretty rad.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. Which was the Giant as the champion, who we all know is Paul White, ex Big Show, with Jimmy Hart versus Shark. This is Shark guy again for the World Heavyweight Championship. I never knew. Never knew Paul White was this thin. The Giant wins with a choke slam. No, he was so intimidating looking and so in such great shape for a guy that
his
size.
hair creeped me out.
Yeah, for sure.
Like everything about like the singlet. Like let's talk about his gear for a minute. Just the singlet and the boots and the crazy hair.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, just the presentation right there, and him walking out being stoic.
Or as Regal says later, got a world heavyweight champion that looks like he escaped from Barnum and Bailey's.
Dude, see,
it's just great. It's so good.
I don't need to say anything else. Yeah,
it's fantastic. Anyway. I was having such a great time. That was the thing. Yeah. I was having a great time. The Giant wins with his patented choke slam, and then Shark gets half of his head shaved by Big Bubba.
Yeah, what the hell was that?
I have no idea, but no wonder Boss Man went back to WWF after that. If that's the gimmick that they gave him.
Well, he stuck around WCW for a minute, I think, before he went back. But
Big Bubba Rogers.
That was it was kind of like also Shark's hair was like super already, like he needed to shave it anyway, right? So it was probably like, hey, you can shave my head if you want, like in the booking meeting. I don't know how it went, but he started off with scissors, and then he grabbed like most of the time when you see head shavings on like pay-per-views, like the hair versus hair match between the guy that will rename nameless and Vince McMahon at that WrestleMania.
Yep.
The clippers that were used weren't that great.
Mm-mm.
And it looks like they actually invested in some decent clippers. Small thing there, but yeah, that was
good for them. That
was weird. They spent a lot of time after that cleaning out the ring. I'm sure it was pretty gross.
Hopefully, because hair is gross. So up next, we had Max with 2 X's,
right?
Versus Lex Luger. Yeah, we got a Luger match, which I was also excited about. He was the champion in this match. The match was for the World Television Championship. It was a good big guy match, and Luger manages to get this Max guy who clearly he's got to be 300 pounds at least. He's a big dude.
They're big guys.
He gets him up in his torture rack, and I guess that's kind of the gimmick going forward, is that Luger wants as many big guys as possible to give him as much experience before he faces the Giant, and that's what he wants. He wants the Giant, but he wants WCW to throw every big guy his way. I'm like, that's cool. That's great. That's just a cool side story. I love that. That's not done anymore either.
Who could do it?
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Nobody.
The next one we had that we spoke about earlier, that was the Cruiserweight. We don't really need to talk about that. It's fine. It was a match. Yep. Still by today's standards, it was great. Then we had this was a tie. It was either this match or the first match. So I gave the first match my 3 count. So this is going to be my 2 count.
Mm-hmm.
Was Steven Regal, who we know is William Regal now, with Jeeves.
Yeah, dude.
With G.
I want to know how much that guy was getting factored into paydays.
I love it.
He got him over big time, man.
Yeah.
Jeeves was crucial.
Yes, crucial. Versus a relatively new Alex Wright.
Dude, the dance, man.
The dance. Oh, the German dance. Who on another side note, during Regal's great promo, said this was Memorial Day. Obviously, this was Memorial Day week, or that Monday would have been Memorial Day. So
it was, yeah.
So he said, my father or grandfather would have been proud that I just put Mini Adolf down.
Oh my goodness!
Like, wow,
Regal's got that's still on Peacock, huh?
Yeah, right. Exactly. I put here commentary of putting over Randy Savage and Flair's rivalry all the way through the entrances. So they're still, they're talking about their bigger guys all the way through these matches, which again, it's not really done as much now.
Nope.
Everybody is considered on the same level. That's another reason that takes me out of it. There's a clear hierarchy of who are the big guys and who aren't.
There has to be.
Yeah.
There absolutely has to be. And that's something that I really admired about wrestling in this era, because pay-per-views and house shows were such an important thing. Like, as I've heard Tony Schiavone describe it, and Jim Ross and Eric Bischoff, TVs, even in the 80s and the 90s, were really to get you to come to the house shows and to get you to pay for the pay-per-views. That was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to see them constantly circle back to, hey, if they're coming to your town, they might be wrestling at that house show, right?
Yeah.
You're going to see these people wrestle in your town. The title may be defended. We're going to build to the pay-per-view. Huge. What you said a minute ago is absolutely factual. Everybody is given the same amount of equal time and equal hype when there clearly is a hierarchy in each promotion of who deserves that time. Yeah. They do that to some extent on SmackDown these days, right?
Yeah, I suppose with it's hard to deny that from Roman. Like, right. he is the top of the pecking order there.
Yeah.
But I just feel like every wrestling promotion could do better than what they have been. So
awesome.
Regal wins the match. It was still a good match. I mean, everything was. It's just the standard is higher, obviously.
Sure.
I put here. I'm not going to curse. I don't feel into it right now. So
okay,
but I did put what a great bleeping wrestler.
Referring to William Regal. Yeah.
He's so good.
Yeah, man.
And his promo after was fantastic. And this is where we get to my quote of the night, which was from Gene, where he says, I couldn't help but notice the one youngster here giving you half a peace sign. I don't think they think that highly of your personality.
Oh man, greatest!
He's just
greatest
great
of all time.
Yeah, it's just awesome, the dialogue between the two of them. So we're gonna get to that match. I said that gets my 2 count. So I've gone in reverse. My 1 count was the main event. I didn't have any tap outs. I will say that I didn't really have any tap outs. Even the most heinous of promo packages or montages didn't offend me. So
fair.
I didn't have any tap outs. I enjoyed the show.
That's awesome.
The one thing I will say about the main event, the reason why this didn't get higher is because I didn't realize how boring Sting was as a wrestler.
Okay.
Scott Steiner was... I'm not going to say is, because I mean I don't know why he's still going in his state and his age, but my God, Scott Steiner was good. He was amazing. That guy, just watching, and I'm only saying this as a smart fan now, because I've been smartened up to how they were, how we all have. To how they work in the ring and how he's guiding.
We all listen to Conrad. We all listen to
Corny.
I mean, if you're listening to this, you're somewhat in there. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
The curtain call happened.
Yeah.
At this point, literally 2 months prior, I think 1 or 2 months prior to this date.
What did? Sorry, say that again.
The curtain call, like the business had been exposed.
Oh yeah.
By that point, it hadn't gotten to the Montreal Screwjob level of being exposed,
but it was starting to get pulled back for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But we've done the watch-alongs where they'll guide us. The professionals will guide us through matches, and we'll see them talking to each other and whatever. And I see Scott is guiding Sting through this entire thing, which is fine. It's absolutely fine. It's still entertaining. Sting does his job, but I will say having watched this, I'm now pretty convinced, having seen Sting, I would say this is still the big part of his prime. Wouldn't you say? Right?
Yeah.
I'm convinced this is where John Cena's 5 Moves of Doom concept came from.
Okay.
Not even Hulk Hogan. I'd kind of put his 5 Moves of Doom. I put his in a whole different category. He's his own thing.
Sure.
But I think the thing that Sting added was the degree of selling.
Yeah.
But the fact that it gives me hope, even though we've already seen Cena basically reach legendary level, even through all the criticism he got for the "you can't wrestles" and stuff. Watching Sting made me feel sorry for John Cena living through the era of the smart fan, because I feel like had Sting been in his prime wrestling when John Cena was in his heyday, he would have got the same chance.
Interesting.
There's no difference between the two of them. They sell really well, and they have a very limited moveset.
Huge difference, I can tell you right now.
What's that?
Promo.
Well, yeah, one of them has a fantastic promo, the other one doesn't. But I'm saying they still would have got the "you can't wrestle" chance. That's what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, because I thought you were saying that like both Sting and Cena are one and the same, and that there's nothing that really separates them.
Sorry, in the ring.
Yeah,
in the ring. Let us
Copy.
keep it in the ring. Yeah, absolutely. Character-wise, not at all. Obviously, no. Let all of this, it just refers to in the ring, and I feel like Sting would have got the same reaction in the ring. Because it was the same. The Stinger Splash and the sharpshooter ish.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of that stuff though was, as you were saying a minute ago, a lot of that stuff was masked because Sting's performance was masked because of his look and his hype as an athlete. He's a big dude. He's jacked. He's vibrant. He has a very known signature move set, including, like you just said, the Stinger Splash and the Scorpion Deathlock, the sharpshooter.
Yeah.
Whereas Cena had the 5-knuckle shuffle, and was it the STFU?
Yeah.
Right. So those were the two big moves that Cena had. The 5-knuckle shuffle. Who's that hurting?
Yeah, that's not. I mean, it's
you know what I mean.
It's supposed to be a punch to the face, but it obviously isn't. And then
he had the dance moves and everything. It's like, okay, great, but at the same time, like.
Well, that's the era. You know what that is? That's the era of the People's Elbow.
The People's Elbow. Okay. The People's Elbow, that's a lot of impact for however tall Rock is, however much he weighs, an entire elbow. But when Cena's giving you the like, you can't see me, and he jumps up and just hits somebody, like you can see his hand open on the impact going down. To me, I don't really see that as a devastating, what a maneuver, No. So Sting, with nobody being smart in the mid-late 90s, he's still as huge as he was in the early 90s and even back in the 80s, working with Flair.
Yeah.
And Vader, for Christ's sake. He's just a big powerhouse dude that looked like a powerhouse dude.
Sure.
Cena, also a big powerhouse dude. Not a good wrestler.
No, I've always said, and I was always the one that jumped to his defense, and now I understand. No, I don't find him to be a good technical wrestler. But just like I'll say the same thing about Sting, they are both really, really, really good sellers.
Yes.
And when you're paired with the right person, with the right other wrestler, i.e. Scott Steiner, you can make the match look really good.
Yep.
And that's what they did.
Yep.
So that's why it's still on my list. It's just not right at the top. But it was great. The whole match, I did put here, the whole match felt very 80s to me.
Yes.
It was like, felt like it was like the dying part of the 80s, you know? But the cheesy entrances, you know, that's
man.
Both of them, I don't know if you noticed this, both of their entrance music sounded almost identical, like same, they not only within the same key, they were the same tempo, the same style, like everything, that cheesy kind of 80s rock. And I had to go back and listen for where they cut the music between the two to make sure it wasn't the same track. Yeah. So
I remember Sting's music had a chick singer on it.
Maybe that was later. Or maybe I just didn't notice that at all. But it was just fast 80s rock is what it sounded like to me. But either way, it was a really good match until the end. You know, we had to have one match with mess.
Yeah.
Luger comes out to be in Sting's corner. And then Rick Steiner comes out, obviously to be in his brother's corner, even the odds. Luger interferes on the outside, but the ref, it was right in front of the ref, but he doesn't call for the bell until it gets inside the ring. So that was interesting to me. And the commentators, I expected them to say something about it, but it's almost like that was normal. So maybe this was a rule thing that has shifted over time, that as long as it's outside, it's okay. But as you come in, I'm not sure.
Remind me, what did he do to interfere outside of the ring?
Luger jumped on, I can't remember whether it was Sting that was on Steiner's back or something like that, or Steiner was on Sting's back, but Luger comes and jumps and hits either one. He hits either one of them, and pushes both of them over. It topples them both over. That's a physical interference, and it was right in front of the ref.
Maybe because it was on both people.
Maybe, and again, they had. It seems like they had different rules, and these rules, we know now that these days there are no freaking rules. So, that was just interesting to me. That's all.
It is interesting.
Anyway, there's a bunch of wrestlers come out after that to kind of break up a brawl, and we don't have a conclusive ending to that, to the main event. Okay. But it builds tension. Yeah, you didn't get a pin on somebody. Yeah, exactly.
Sting and Scott still look great.
It gets a pass. We then cut to Bischoff and Heenan, and Scott Hall is back out to talk face-to-face to Bischoff, and he challenges him and Billionaire Ted to get 3 of their baddest guys, because you want a war, you got one, and we are taking over. And he uses that royal we, and they ask, it gave me chills watching it live. I'm like,
oh man.
And he uses the word we, and we're all left going, what do you mean we? Who's we? Mm-hmm. There's 2 more guys? Does that mean there's 2 more guys? Oh my God.
Yeah, man. I think I know where I was when I saw this live.
Yeah.
And I remember going into my mom's room and being like, hey, you're never going to believe this. And she was like, what? And I started saying, I was like, well, on Nitro. And she was like, oh God. I was like, okay, I'll go talk to myself about it. Because I don't even think AIM was a thing at this point.
No.
Yeah, it wasn't. Then I didn't really have any friends that watched wrestling as much as I did. But I remember this moment very specifically and going like, what in God's name is happening right now? He was just on WWF.
Right.
But now he's on WCW. And not having any magazines, there wasn't any specials on TV about it. There wasn't a podcast to reference. I didn't even know about the Observer yet. For me as a fan during this time, such a magical experience to kind of like, you kept hearing about it all the time. Vince would say like, anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot of weird, crazy stuff did. The Ultimate Warrior came back, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
So there was just a whole heap of things, but I don't know, but you saw this whole show for the first time ever. What were your thoughts from start to finish? You've given it high praise.
The highest praise I can possibly give it is I want to watch it again next week, like the following week.
Dude,
I want to. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And I kind of want to do this. And again, I know that anyone that might be listening to this is not privy to our private conversations, but
yeah,
I brought this up to you before.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really hard to watch modern wrestling because it feels like they're half the time in a spiral of chaos. And
sure,
WCW later, I hear, got that way. But from watching this show, just that show, let's take Raw, like anything WWF out of it. Just from watching that show, I'm like, it still feels like a wrestling show to me. So I would like to watch it again.
Dude, sick.
And it would be awesome to come back. If this is cool with you, it'd be awesome to come back periodically and see if there's been a few different shifts in AEW and in WWE main programming to see if we've been drawn back in and see what's happening. Especially, I know with fans coming back now. Fans are back for AEW, but fans aren't officially back with WWE yet, and that has been one of the hardest parts, is trying to watch a show with fake crowd noise, and it's tough. That's really tough.
It's so bad. I cannot wait for July for SmackDown to be live and see Roman in front of a crowd.
Exactly.
I can't wait to hear what he has to say. I can't wait. Like I'm so excited, Lee.
So let's keep up with the news. We'll keep up with the headlines. If something majorly great happens that one of us hears about, we can tune in for it. But for the most part,
it'll be a part of our news section. Yeah.
Let's stick on this track. I want to see where this goes.
Well, we're gonna see what goes on Monday Night Raw shortly after we take a break. When we come back, I'm going to give you my 3 count for the Monday Night Raw that happened on May 27th that went opposition of Nitro for only 1 hour. This was back when Raw was just an hour show. So sit tight. We'll be right back, and we're going to start talking about Raw. Man, I'm so pumped right now.
Yep.
We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. That's a great way to intro the show back. Hey, so now we're going to talk about Monday Night Raw for May 27th, 1996. If you're just joining us, I don't know how, because you're listening to a damn podcast. We're going to talk about it. This was shot in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and it was only 45 to 49 minutes long. I do want to touch on something random that happened during this time. Do you remember Goldust being on Conan O'Brien?
No.
Dude. All right. So Goldust comes out, full entrance, right? He's the second guest on the show, which is traditionally like the shorter segment back when Conan was on late night, right?
Okay.
So the second guest on Conan was always like the bridge between the first guest and the last guest, right? First guest would probably get like 2 segments. Second guest would get a segment. Third guest would probably be the musical guest or the comedian, right?
Okay.
So Goldust is number 2. So Conan intros him and is like, ladies and gentlemen, the World Wrestling Federation Intercontinental Champion. I want to show you what he looks like. He uses sexuality and mystique as his way to win matches. And they show Goldust in the ring with Piper, and Goldust is like grabbing at Piper's kilt and what's the fanny pack that they wear over the kilt?
Do you mean the technical term for it?
Yeah, what is that called?
My God, I have no idea. A pouch?
Fair. Pouch. He starts grabbing on Piper's pouch. That's what they should have named the segment.
Piper's pouch.
Yeah. But he starts grabbing at Piper's pouch and like does the whole like from the groin up to the chest and like bites his teeth and stuff. And Piper's looking at Vince going like, no, I can't handle this. No, I'm done. Like doing the Piper thing. Meanwhile, the people in the audience are popping their heads off laughing at this. They end it and it's like, ladies and gentlemen, Goldust with his manager, director, Marlena. He comes down. You know how tiny that studio was. He's coming down the steps. Somebody's throwing gold glitter, like they've got the yellow lights on. It was amazing. He gets down to the desk, sits down after like weirdly gesturing to the guy that was always on Conan's show, Andy Richter.
Yeah.
And immediately Conan, okay, so what is it? Is it gold? Is it Mr. Dust? And the first thing Goldust says to Conan is there an extra microphone in your pants, or are you just happy to see me? Wow. Unreal. Conan says, is it gold or Mr. Dust? And Goldust looks at Conan and says, Mr. Barbarian, you can call me anything you like. Just don't call me late for foreplay. So weird, dude.
Wow.
Conan says, you've been proclaiming to be the best actor in the world. Like, what credentials do you have? Like, can you tell me about what movies you've been in? Goldust then says, I'm ready for my close-up, and mentions a movie, 1967, something. And he talks about how his training comes from a deep, dark, dirty place, a place that he likes to refer to as his back lot.
Oh, God.
He says, Mr. Barbarian, would you like to stick your head inside and have a good long look?
What?
Dude, it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Conan even says that. He cuts a promo on the match at WrestleMania, and Conan says, like, that's the weirdest plug I've seen in 3 years on the air. Conan calls out guards to escort Goldust out of the building because it just like went way too far.
Yeah.
Goldust, it's go watch it. It was very creepy. Fun fact: Norm Macdonald was also on that show.
I'm wondering what he would say about it.
Oh yeah. Well, we didn't really get that many matches on this show because it was 45 minutes. We saw the WWF Intercontinental Champion Goldust versus the Ultimate Warrior. Just from the onset of this show, I was just absolutely sucked in. It was Vince McMahon. It was Jerry the King Lawler. It was the old Raw entrance. It was just so much fun. We got a viewer discretion is advised, right? Which hadn't really been a thing in WWF at the time. And we're also building up to the King of the Ring. We're having qualifier matches. That's what this first match was between Goldust and the Ultimate Warrior. Was a first round getting into the King of the Ring. Jerry the King Lawler at this point had started becoming Jerry the King Lawler. His first comment was, let me ask you this, McMahon. If Goldust wins the King of the Ring, would he be King of the Ring or Queen of the Ring?
Amazing.
Yeah. I wrote Goldust is way too good to be Wrestling Warrior at this time. His work outside of the ring, yes, it was provocative. It was a little over the top, but it was also something. And he stayed in character the entire time. That's why I wanted to bring up Conan. During that time, Goldust was really, I don't know if people are saying that's the start of the Attitude Era, but he was doing it weeks before Scott Hall showed up on WCW. Anyway, back to this match. At one point, Warrior fired up on Goldust doing these punches. You know what I mean? Like, shake it and hit him. And finally, he got Goldust down. And then I think Warrior wanted to kind of like because he had made fun of Goldust. He had done like the stroke up his body thing, right? Yeah. I don't know how to describe that. And got after it. After he knocked Goldust down, Warrior started like almost humping the air and then realized like, oh my God, I'm humping. I got to go back to doing my hands up and down. Oh my God. Like he looked like he was not comfortable in that, in that spot. Match was terrible. It was absolutely the worst thing of the night. We see a segment with Ted DiBiase and Stone Cold Steve Austin, who's already called Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
This was at a time where Ted was leaving. And so in storyline, it was that he was going to vow to leave the WWF if Savio Vega beat Steve Austin in a Caribbean strap match.
Okay.
Pretty neat. That got my 1 count.
Cool.
That was really neat to kind of see that piece of history, right? We know what ends up happening to Ted DiBiase. Goes to WCW, joins the NWO. Like there's a lot of things that happened to Ted DiBiase after that. And this was also like I wouldn't necessarily say the last part of his career because he's actively on NXT right now, but it's something that's kind of neat to see him in this very transitional point. You've got Stone Cold Steve Austin, another great wrestler, Savio Vega, in a Caribbean strap match. It's a gimmick match in the 90s. 1, 2, 3 Kid is gone. Like all this stuff. Like it's just insane at this point in time. We get a non-title match between the Smoking Guns with Sonny and the Body Donnas. This got a 2 count only because of nostalgia with me. The Godwins came out. Phineas Godwin had some, or Henry Godwin had some points to make on commentary, continuing that storyline of Sonny leaving the Godwins for managing the Godwins and now managing the tag team champions, the Smoking Guns, kind of creating her as a heel, even though she's repping a babyface team, which was kind of interesting. She also worked with the Body Donnas. So there's all these like interweaving storylines happening just in this non-title match. Match wasn't that great, but there was all these things. Jerry Lawler, Henry Godwin smells so bad his sure deodorant is confused and his secret antiperspirant told on him.
That's great.
Incredible.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So 2 count. 3 count is the main event. Ahmed Johnson versus Vader. Jim Cornette was also there. Man, Vader's entrance. His entrance music is incredible. Top 5. Oh, it's so good. The chorus. I can't sing, folks. Get over it. Go ahead.
No, you made me laugh. That was great.
Oh, yeah.
No, I loved it. I absolutely love it. Yeah. He was one of my favorites.
Just a big dude, a big, believable dude. We talked about it earlier. We talked about the wrestling that we saw on WCW. Big guys.
Yeah.
Big guys sell tickets. Big guys tell stories that are believable.
Who did some pretty unbelievable things sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah. Including in this match. Yeah. Let me tell you how good the storytelling was on Raw at this point. I'm going to give you one prime example. Outside of everything that we've seen so far, we see an interwoven storyline with Sonny and the Smoking Guns. We see the changing of Ted DiBiase's career, where we got the Ultimate Warrior in a way too long of a match. We're building up Goldust to be even a contender against somebody like Warrior. The match didn't have really that big of a finish.
Yeah.
Neither of them made it to the finals. So that it meant something. It was awful, but it meant something. So this is another King of the Ring qualifying match. This is how good they are at storytelling. In this instance, a commentary perspective. So while Vader is on the way to the ring, Vince announces that Owen Hart is at the commentary table. Vince suggests that, and Owen is wearing like he did something to his arm. He's got like a cast on his arm. And Vince is like, audibly pointing it out. Like, what's the story on that arm? Is it really injured? Oh, wow. Owen claps back immediately, says, what kind of stupid question is that? Do you think I'd be walking around with an ugly piece of plaster around my arm if it wasn't hurt? That's okay. I'll be healed up bigger and better and stronger than ever, ready for whatever. And then Vince reminds us that, we're about to see this match between Ahmed and Vader, and we'll be right back. Just in that moment, they've set up the fact that Owen is a heel.
Yep.
He's at ringside. He's on commentary. He's scouting, and he's ready for whatever, even though he's got a hurt arm.
Yep.
And you just sold me into that main event match.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm not changing the channel at that point. And it's the other big thing here is it's not because of what was said. Anybody can come out and be at ringside. Don Callis can be at ringside right now. Right. Now we know that Don Callis will interfere and do anything. We saw that. We'll talk about it on Double or Nothing. We've established that. We didn't know that a couple months ago. Mm-hmm. But at the time, we knew that about Owen Hart. So my point is, it's not because of what was said. It's because of who was saying it. You had somebody believable like Vince McMahon. You had somebody like Owen Hart, who at that time was just an absolute piece of garbage heel, would do anything to help win.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when we start this match, not even halfway through, like a quarter of the way through, Cornett hits the mess out of Ahmed in his back with his tennis racket. And Ahmed Johnson just no-sold it and just starts charging Corny to the back of the locker room. Then we go to another commercial. Where did he go? Is he going to get his hands on Cornett? I have to stick around and see. That's screwed up. Why would he do that? Like all those things, it's really making sense in between all of these commercial breaks. Then Vader charges, and we get back. Vader charges Ahmed and runs smack dab into a spine buster. While the ref is with Cornett, as Ahmed covers Vader, Owen Hart leaves the announce table and just hits the mess out of Ahmed in the head with his gimmicked arm with a cast around it. Once Cornett gets off the apron, Vader rolls over to Ahmed for the 1, 2, 3. I didn't see that coming. That's why it didn't get my it did get my 3 count. The kick out of this whole show was the amount of packages they did about Shawn Michaels and Davey Boy Smith and Davey Boy Smith, his wife. And it's like, I don't know if it was sexual harassment or what it was, or somebody being unfaithful. I'm telling you, man, we were talking about some adult stuff on WWF. We had an androgynous character feeling up a legend in The Ultimate Warrior. Mm. We had a love story in the Godwins and Sonny, and now she's managing the Smoking Guns. And we had straight up heel betrayal and devious wins over Ahmed Johnson. Ahmed gets carried on a stretcher out to the back, and Goldust comes up to him and gives him mouth to mouth. Ahmed wakes up and goes on a rampage trying to find Goldust. So this whole entire show was just out of control. I'm with you in that I want to see this again next week, because Goldust messing around with Ahmed Johnson. The goal of that whole year, which we'd already passed it, was Goldust versus Roddy Piper at WrestleMania. Yeah. One of the greatest WrestleManias of all time, WrestleMania 12. So the O.J. Simpson chase, like we're off. We're just off of that. Mm-hmm. Barely like 2 months, not even. Yeah, off of WrestleMania 12. So a pretty interesting time in WWE.
Let me ask you real fast. I got a question for you. How many packages? Can you recall how many packages they did, promo packages on the Shawn Michaels and Davey Boy Smith?
I think that show? 2.
Just 2?
I think just 2.
Okay. I was curious. I was wondering if they were doing the same thing as Nitro, where they were kind of just bombarding you with the most important, biggest stars.
Well, here's something that's important to remember, right? This was the night after In Your House Beware of Dog, and a lightning or something happened where it killed a transformer in the arena, and they dropped the satellite feed. So 3 of the matches, they still did them in the dark, mind you. Yeah. But they were going to be doing a next, I think it was the following night. They were going to be doing those matches over and live for the people that ordered that, and plus new people. I think they were just giving it away for free. I could be wrong. But that's something else that's important to talk about. In a 45-minute show, they were able to clear that up.
Yeah.
Vince was very poignant at saying, please call your local cable company to figure out, what to do next. He wasn't today. You couldn't do that today. You couldn't pass it on to the customer.
Right.
Oh man, just knowing that he was able to do that and put the pressure back on the local cable company, even though it was his company's mess up or at least not being prepared. They did show footage of all of the cables running from the satellite truck into the arena, and they were just covered in water.
Yeah.
I would be interested to know what the protocol was for laying cable moving forward.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
That might be a thing. After Beware of Dog, we had to blank, blank, blank. That would be kind of neat to know about. I'm curious at that. Anyway, Raw was awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next week. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I don't really remember Shawn Michaels and Davey Boy Smith. I remember there being a feud. I didn't remember it until I watched this episode of Raw. But yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know who won though.
Oh, like from
well,
our
who had the better
perspective,
show?
or
Yeah,
who
had the
had
better
the higher
show?
ratings?
No, that's the one thing I didn't look up. I didn't look up ratings. I tell you what, by the time we do this again, next week, I'll bring up the ratings from week to week and we'll do a comparison.
Sure.
But for right now, historically, WCW won the night.
Yeah, of course, because it was more groundbreaking. I think WWF at that time were already established as a good program.
Right.
It was just more of the same kind of deal.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. As far as our opinion, I'm torn, man.
Yeah.
I'm torn. I'm torn as to who to give it to. Because I watched both. And I was a big fan of what WCW was doing. The feel, like you said, the big fight feel.
Yeah.
It felt a lot brighter. It felt, even though I think it was a smaller building, they may have been the same size building. That's another interesting thing to bring up. The capacity of those venues.
Yeah.
They weren't at the Honda Center. They weren't at, MSG. They weren't at like 10,000 plus. They were below 10,000 people. Yeah.
Maybe we don't, with this particular episode, this was the turning point. This was right at the beginning. This was right at the precipice. So maybe we don't give it, it's a tie right now because it's right at the beginning. And from the following weeks is where we start to say, okay, this is where the war was declared. The line was drawn in the sand. Now it's time to step up. Who's putting on the better show? And for now, it is pretty even.
It's also kind of interesting to think too. There wasn't a whole lot of talent moving around at this point.
No.
WWE was promoting and developing characters with a roster that they already had. Yeah, they weren't inheriting anybody. But WCW has inherited a lot of people.
Sounds familiar.
I know, right? I know. So I'm excited. I'm excited to know this. What are your expectations for next week? What are you? Because I want to put this in a time capsule, man. I want to follow your brain because you haven't seen the next week's episode. I haven't either. I don't remember it.
My only expectations, really, I'm not setting myself any bars. The only one expectation I have is good storytelling, because so far I've seen good storytelling, and I've seen even from the beginning of that show to the end of that show, had I not known anything about WCW, I would have been hooked because they were so good at laying the foundation of some of those storylines. So I expect the same. That's about as much as I'm gonna say. Because I don't have any other expectations. I expect to be entertained again because I was very entertained.
So awesome to hear, man.
Yeah, I loved it.
I'm so happy that you're seeing it.
Yep.
I tell you something that I wasn't too happy to see, but I still watched it anyway.
I know what's coming now.
Let's talk about it, but let's do it in this way.
Okay.
I want to have our cash in, our killer take from Kyle, the greatest dad of all time, Wilkerson. We're going to go to that right now, and we're going to catch you guys on the other side.
All right, what's going on, fellas? I'm sorry I can't be there again this week. Obviously, it's another insane week. Hope you guys had a great Memorial Day. And, let's get going with my segment. First off, let's talk about this rumor that the WWE is in talks with New Japan about them just working solely together. No AEW, no nothing else. First off, I'm assuming this is all because of, Daniel Bryan wants to go back to New Japan or do something else over there. So, Daniel Bryan's wife, obviously, Brie Bella, still has ties with WWE. I truly think Daniel Bryan loves, the WWE and pretty much everything he's doing there. It seems like he has a lot of free reign with this character, as much as you can have that over there. But just first thought is, this is solely for a working relationship with Daniel Bryan, and maybe he may be the liaison between the two down the line if this thing actually happens. But just coming out of this is the promo that Tony Khan cut on Nick Khan, saying there's there can only be one Khan in this business. And man, I'm really sorry, but this is just making Tony look like fucking horse cheesy 2000s WCW. I've probably said this every single week. I don't understand why everybody from AEW keeps saying, oh yeah, we're not in competition with the WWE. It's just an alternative, but they do something every single week that says, oh yeah, we watch what they're doing all the time. Yeah, dude, we're in a war with them. Just stop it. If WWE wants to have talks with New Japan, guess what? You're allowed to have talks with them. It's great. Maybe you can go back and have talks with them as well. It's called, just hearing offers, if this rumor is even true. So, it's just, it's just always mind-blowing to just see anybody from AEW just saying, oh yeah, man, we're not in competition. Yeah, just stop. Just admit you are, and the other side just doesn't care. They just honestly don't care.
Nope. He's right.
Yep. And plus, the promo that Tony Khan cut, okay, I know this is weird coming from a guy that stammers sometimes and stutters, but hey, I'm not in the pro wrestling business. I'm not cutting promos for a living. I play drums for a living.
Yep.
So, that being said, if you want any word to be believable that comes out of Tony Khan's mouth, maybe, you have to edit his promo or make sure that he does a one-take promo that's not stammering or stuttering or anything else to make it just sound like, oh, okay, yeah, this guy's not even a threat at all. If you go back to listen to his promo, it's come on, you have the editing capabilities to make this good, at least passable, to where it's not just okay, what's going on with this guy? So come on, guys, production crew, AEW, please go back and watch your own tape, please. All right, let's move on. All right. So speaking of Tony Khan, every single time I hear an interview with him or the AEW restricted podcast. And this is why I'm bringing it up, because he always goes on, if our listeners aren't hip to this, he goes on their own podcast to preview all the big shows, Double or Nothing, All Out, all that stuff the week before. And man, I've never heard anybody like him, or gosh, everybody in that company just is constantly putting over themselves. They're not afraid. Well, never mind. They are afraid to admit when something is bad. Whenever the whole blood and guts thing happened, whenever the whole, exploding barbed wire, thing didn't go, the whole thing didn't go off at the end. Right. It's just kind of weird that, nobody can come out and say, oh, okay, yeah, that was really shitty, but hey, next week's, another week, clean slate, let's go.
Right.
Everybody from the WWE does. Have you ever heard Triple H, Bruce Pritchard, anybody constantly try to spin it to where, they look great?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, nope. Sometimes, but guess what? The majority of the time, if you ever hear Triple H on an interview, Bruce Pritchard on an interview, and they're asked about a segment or something like that, that was actually shit.
Yeah.
They're all just yeah, well, that was the shits. What can you do? Just sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. All right, there's always next week, or in WWE's case, there's always like the next day, it seems like, with another program being filmed. So, all right, well, just put that behind us. Let's go. Not like, I mean, that's the attitude that you're supposed to have, not, oh, well, this is going to be the best card ever. Oh, yeah, that was such a great match. Oh, yeah, the blood and guts thing with Jericho. Oh, yeah, well, I mean, but it was still great. It's just like, man, just admit when things go wrong, or just like admit when something's bad. And I guarantee you, like the AEW people would probably like you more.
Right.
It's just exhausting to always hear, oh, us, we, I. And especially in Tony Khan's case, it's just always I and not we, Like, I don't know if anybody's ever picked up on that before, but it's just always I. And sometimes a we. But, man, dude, like, just admit when something's bad. We all see it. Like, you don't have to try to spin it to us to make up for it. So, like, that's just, like, an observation I've had with anybody from AEW that does an interview. It's like, okay, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to say when something is Yeah. Guess what? The WWE does that all the time, and they make fun of themselves more, I feel like.
Yep.
So, yeah. So let's move on as well. Just a couple quick notes from Double or Nothing. Yeah, the whole Cody Rhodes and Anthony Ogogo thing, obviously, it kind of fell flat with the crowd, I felt like. And I think that goes to show once again, once you get a crowd in a building. And, like, I think it was Isaac. I can't remember, like, if it was you or Lee that said it. But, yeah, man, I mean, going, like, the USA versus British thing, I mean, like, have you ever, I mean, like, okay, like, anybody out there who's never been a British person, once you meet a British person, like, you realize, like, that whole nationality is cool as shit. I mean, like, we have a British guy on our show.
Yeah.
Lee's cool as He's awesome. Spending 5 minutes around a true, proper British person, guess what? You're having pints at the pub, you're laughing, you're having a great time. Like, what's the hate about a British dude? And plus, like, if all you guys are like, oh, well, like, we went to war with them. Well,
our teeth.
If you really want to, be a stickler about it, guess what? We won. So it's like, who cares? Like, it's hard to be mad at a British person. So, like, I don't see how, being all up in arms about the whole, like, nationality thing is the thing anymore. I just, don't really understand that. But yeah, like, I think, like, Lee, like, I think you said it as well last week. I was going back and listening through. It's like, yeah, like, it's not like there's, I mean, like an Iraqi sympathizer or whatever, the whole slaughter thing was back in the day, or whatever else, from a country that's truly despised, that actually has terrorists and stuff who, come over here and try to blow our shit up. But it's like, yeah, I'm not going to be mad at a British person. And if you've never met a British person before, meet one, go have some beers, go get pissed at the club, proper pissed, and you'll realize, hey, these guys are cool as shit.
Thanks,
Leo Rush making his debut, just like another indie darling, doesn't move the radar for me. Really don't care. I'm assuming he can do whatever he wants over at AEW. Seemed like the WWE, he couldn't really adapt to, not being himself, it seems like. So, yeah, that really doesn't move the needle for me. Mark Henry, apparently he's going to go be an analyst. I think that's what it said. I mean, good for him. Like, if you ever listened to him on Busted Open, like, he's great on there. Super nice guy. He's one of the guys I truly want to meet one day, just because he, truly, I think, has a heart of gold in the wrestling business. But first, knee-jerk reaction to this, like, it just seems like another old like WWE guy wanting to get a paycheck and work with younger talent. Not under the umbrella that is the WWE, because they have a million people over there as well. So, yeah, I mean, like, good for Mark Henry for getting another job. That's great. Like, I truly think he's a great person. But, yeah, just seems like another old, like, Attitude Era guard person getting a job over there. And I'm sure Tony Khan loves him too. So, let's see here. I'm wondering how much they paid, like, Urban Meyer and Charlie Strong to be in that one scene for the stadium space. Gosh, like, that's easy for me to say. The Stampede match, the Stadium Stampede. Yeah, like, I wonder how much they paid those guys to be in that scene, or if that was actually written into his Jax contract. Oh, by the way, I know nobody really, I hope that there's a few people that actually like the NFL, but just a quick note on Urban Meyer. Yeah, I hope he just gets his ass beat and Trevor Lawrence gets a real head coach. In about 2.5 years.
Oof.
So, yeah, I'm not a big Urban Meyer guy, especially from his past from Ohio State and Florida. I know this is a wrestling podcast, but guess what? I really hope he fails, and I hope Trevor Lawrence actually has a shot to get a good head coach and doesn't bring in Tim Tebow. Jesus, that's a whole other topic. But so Urban Meyer, Charlie Strong, great cameo over there. Yeah, wondering if that was written into his contract for that. And guys, I think those are all my notes. I really didn't have any time to watch the WWE product this week, but hopefully I'll catch some highlights this coming week. And yeah, one other note about the Double or Nothing, it was really great to see a full packed house there. Just hearing wrestling fans, is the best thing, and pro wrestling is not the same without the fans, and I think we all can agree on that. So we're all pumped for fans to come back, and that's just getting me pumped about fans in the WWE and how all that is going to work in terms of who truly is over with the WWE universe. So guys, I'm sorry for rambling and babbling and stammering on like a Tony Khan promo, but hey, great show from last week, and I can't wait to listen to this week's.
Yeah.
So y'all take it easy. I love you guys. Miss you guys. Go pro wrestling.
Go pro wrestling. Literally, if that's not a real wrestling company, I don't know. We should probably get on that.
I'd like to state for the record that the main difference between Kyle's rant and Tony Khan's is that when Kyle gets passionate, I actually feel some anger and actually feel some intimidation.
Well, let's piece that apart here.
Yeah.
First thing that our good brother Kyle brought up was AEW and New Japan working together for a deal with Daniel Bryan. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I want us to talk about Double or Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Regarding, and this is Tony Khan on the media scrum after Double or Nothing. Tony Khan stated that regarding to the promo that he cut on WWE's Nick Khan and the report that WWE had negotiations with New Japan Pro Wrestling, Khan said that he asked New Japan if they thought he should cut the promo. He said that New Japan agreed and that they thought it was a great idea, and that Khan expects that AEW will be, continually working with New Japan. If this was a way for Tony to kind of get a little bit of heat out of that and just, hey, you're going to talk about the WWE? Hold my beer, and does something like that. I kind of think that's what he did.
Okay.
He might also be a jacked up lunatic. I don't know.
I think either way, I don't think New Japan cares either way. So
I don't think,
I think
they've got a way bigger market and a way more central market than we have in the United States.
Right.
They're doing
but I mean,
fine.
in the insular case of Tony Khan calling them to okay a promo he's going to do, I feel like they would be like, go for it, buddy. Cool.
Oh, Ringo, you wrote a song.
Yeah, cool.
Put it on the fridge.
Whatever the fuck you want to do. We don't give a shit.
Yeah.
We'll be talking to them tomorrow. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks, and it doesn't matter to them. To them, they're at the end of the day, they're going to look for what's better for them. AEW are going to look what's best for them, and WWE are going to look for what's best for them. That's it. It's business.
You're right.
Yeah.
AEW, this is another great point that he made. AEW can't admit when something goes bad.
Yeah.
Accurate.
Is it? Yeah.
Absolutely accurate. He brought up something that I want to check in with you about. Now, you had some friends that were in attendance at the show, and this next thing that Kyle said makes me want to hear what the thoughts were of people that were actually in the building for Double or Nothing. Kyle said that Cody and Ogogo fell flat from the crowd. That's kind of how I heard it too.
Yep.
I also noticed that people that weren't necessarily over did a lot of gesturing to the crowd to get them to be louder.
Yeah, actually.
But the people that were very over paid no attention.
Didn't have to do much.
They didn't have to do much.
Yeah.
If any current wrestler is listening to this, and I don't know why you would be, people are going to go with you, and they're going to be entertained by you if you're entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go with you and be passionate about you if you're passionate about what you're doing.
Yeah.
You can't just go. I had to learn this the hard way. Any wrestler that's listening, just because I'm sitting behind a podcast microphone, doesn't mean I haven't played in front of 50,000 people before.
Right.
When I was in college, I could barely buy booze, and I was playing for 50,000 people at the Baptist Biennial in Denver. I know what it's like to be on stage. Was it a Christian show? Yeah. Do you work for AEW? Yep. Mm-hmm. So I kind of understand how to put on a performance. The one thing that you don't do, unless there's a special moment where the crowd needs to be involved, not the entire match, not every time you hit a super kick, Matt Jackson or Nick Jackson. It's so annoying and it looks bad. You look stupid. It takes me out of it. You when you do that garbage, you remind me that we are watching phony wrestling.
Right.
So chill out a little bit. Beat somebody's ass. Be a grown adult. Not a man, not a woman. Be a grown adult.
Be a wrestler.
Go in there, be a wrestler. Do some business. Get paid to beat people up.
Yeah.
So,
on that note, do you want me to read their account as far as, because I asked them to give me a few specific things. I asked them for biggest heat moment from the crowd, biggest pop from the crowd, the deadest moment from the crowd, from their perspective, being there, because sometimes it doesn't always come across. And I like to know how much they hide and how much they don't. From the viewer.
Hey, I'm still thinking that this is going to be big time fake news moving forward. Okay. I'm not saying that I believe in fake news. I'm saying that because professional wrestling promotions have figured out how to pipe in crowd noise.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to edit it even when it's live.
Right.
So we're not really, and who knows, they might be piping this in over the PA.
Yeah, and they might have been doing that already in certain companies.
They may not have. We'll find out. But let me clear Kyle's notes real quick because there's two more things. Leo Rush, I didn't really care either, but I thought it was cool. His sequence of moves was great. It didn't do anything for him to lose in that capacity. I think he's great on the mic. I enjoyed him with Lashley. Your thoughts?
I think my wife summed it up perfectly because she was watching with me. She said, "Another wrestling midget, cool."
Mark Henry apparently is going to be an analyst. We talked about that earlier. Kyle mentions that his knee-jerk reaction was that it's just another old ex-WWE guy wanting to get a paycheck and work with younger talent. I agree, but I base it on a more wholesome level than you do.
Yeah.
I think Mark Henry is going to do, and I said it earlier, he's going to do great things working with a younger, more not as big of a talent pool as he would have been dealing with in NXT. Plus, you can't really mess with NXT's system.
Yeah,
that stuff is secret sauce like level at this point, right?
Yeah.
Not saying that it's good, but I'm just saying it would be harder for Mark to make an impact in NXT, or else he'd already be doing it.
Yep.
I think it's a brilliant opportunity for him to make some more money before he rides off into the sunset. And I think he's going to be an absolute diamond of a coach.
Yeah. Can I just add to that?
Please.
Okay. I will say, yes, I agree. Once again, I think you'd be stupid to turn down at least an offer, like to entertain it. Right. The biggest difference with Mark Henry is as we have all heard him on Busted Open and his numerous interviews, is that he has a love for the business more than himself. And that is the biggest difference between him and old Big Show or Paul White. I feel like Paul White has more of a love for himself and his wallet than he does for the business. I think that was a money grab.
Totally agreed. Totally agreed.
So even though
it is total time for BS. This is all BS.
Yeah. And so even though Mark Henry, of course, he's going to be gladly taking that paycheck. I really feel like he's doing it for the right reasons.
Even if he did it for the wrong reasons,
it's still going to be a benefit to them.
It's still going to be a benefit.
Fair enough,
even if he did it, purely out of greed,
yep.
I wouldn't blame him. I'd be doing the same thing.
Fair enough.
But we talked about Urban Meyer, brother. I don't know who that is. I'm sorry.
He's an ex college football coach. I think he's professional now, but yeah.
Okay. See, I don't watch football. I'm sorry. I'm going to get so much heat. Like, really? You don't?
I don't think anyone likes him. He was at Ohio State for a long time. I don't think anyone likes him, even Ohio State fans.
I'll tell you something. Weird. Ohio State's got a killer marching band.
They do.
I'm sure Kyle would agree with me on that.
Yep.
And you do too. Last one from Kyle. Great to see a full packed house. Hearing wrestling fans. He's also looking forward to hearing WWE's wrestling fans, which I think we touched on a second ago.
Mm-hmm. Who
knows if it's going to be real or not?
Right.
So moving forward, Double or Nothing. Yeah. I had a lot of fun, but I've watched the show. What did dudes in attendance think? Give me those topics again.
Okay. So I asked my friends Brandon and Dave. Give a quick shout
Brandon
out to them.
and Dave.
Hey. I asked them as they were going to be in the crowd, and they had great nosebleeders. I loved it. I loved the picks. I asked them for a few specific things because I like to compare to what we can hear on the show, watching on pay-per-view, to actually being in the crowd. So what we asked for was the biggest heat moment from the crowd, the biggest pop, the deadest crowd moment, and the most surprising crowd reaction. Those are the four things that I asked for. And this is what I got back.
Okay.
Biggest heat was Don Callis yanking ref out, tied with Omega knocking ref out. So at the same match. So I think we're pretty much in agreement there. Wouldn't you agree?
Dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
The finish to that match was pretty great.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I had a lot of fun with it.
It was entertaining. I will say, wasn't it? It was far more than I was going to give it credit for. Because I'm not a Cassidy. I'm not on that train. But I will give it.
I'm on it because it's something different. To me, he's like the hipster Gold Dust.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's living it, dude. And his fire up moment in that match was pretty fun. Anyway, so heat moment, Don Callis pulling the ref out, and okay. So pop.
Speaking of, biggest pop was Jungle Boy, closely followed by Orange Cassidy. Which
fire up the Orange Cassidy fire up?
Which apparently he was very close to, but Jungle Boy took the cake there for biggest pop of the night, which I love. It's great because I think everyone's a Jungle Boy fan. Even I am, and I'm not a fan of the little guys. I'm a fan of his. So,
well, I mean, look, I really enjoyed the Casino Battle Royal finish. Didn't care about everything that happened before that.
Yeah,
Leo Rush, that was cool, great, but seeing Christian kind of give that emotional moment to Jungle Boy was pretty rad.
Yeah,
it was really rad.
Okay. Well, I'll say this: their most surprising crowd reaction was how much more over Jungle Boy was than Christian.
Interesting. Well, okay, Christian didn't need it.
Sure. Storyline wise,
so to me, I think everybody that's in that crowd were probably. I think about it at this point. If you're going to a double or if you're going to an AEW pay-per-view post the pandemic, not even out of it, really. You're a super smart fan, right? So I think everybody in that audience probably had the same mentality of, I don't know if we want Christian to win. I would much rather it be Jungle Boy, but how they've been building Christian, it kind of makes sense that he's going to win this, right? Outwork everything. I think that was a genius move and a very good surprise.
So I want to follow this up because he put in his comment, general observation, crowd was lively and into it for the entire show, pretty much. A large contingent of the AEW fanboys in attendance, but also a lot of families stoked to be at a live event on holiday weekend. So it sounds like it was a good mix, honestly, between the so there you go.
Families aren't okay. Families at this might be a hot take, might not be, it might just be stupid. Families at a TV taping or a pay-per-view are like people in a church. Hear me out. If something gets to a certain point, everybody ends up at that certain point together.
Sure.
It's kind of an emotional ride because you're in public. In a movie, same thing in a movie.
It also could be that Jungle Boy is far more appealing than an ex-WWE guy who looks like he should have been retired to a kid. To a kid. Anyway.
To a kid. Okay. You know, if it would have been anybody else, I don't know if Jungle Boy would have gotten a bigger pop. I'm just trying to say that within storyline and storytelling, I think to the smart fan, it would have been Christian who won that, but they secretly, like the expected WWE outcome would have been Christian. Right?
Sure.
But we have this underdog story of Jungle Boy, and the underdog, I think it's so much fun.
Which is great. I love it.
Yeah, so good.
The dead crowd moment was just as Kyle mentioned, the Cody match. That was the deadest of the night. They said some moments during the Battle Royal, which I think we could hear too. And they also mentioned that anytime Wardlow and Hager came on the screen, it cooled the crowd a bit.
Oh, interesting.
That doesn't surprise me at all. They're both boring as shit.
Yeah. They didn't finish the match. Yeah, crowd reaction overall.
Overall, he said that they were into it from start to finish pretty much. You know, it's hard to get that pumped for the entire time. But they said crowd reaction overall, everyone was into it from start to finish. So
it's a pretty long show, too. It's almost 4 hours.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think it was 4 hours once you kind of account for the buy-in.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Well, you know, we talked about our favorite matches before we started. Miro versus Lance Archer. It was tied between these two matches. Miro versus Lance Archer for the TNT Championship. Or Sting and Darby Allin versus Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. Miro and Lance Archer just because of the size of the two guys. And Miro throwing the snake up the entrance ramp was, oh my God, the look on Miro's face after he did that was like, yeah, that worked. That worked.
Do you want to know what was so genius about that? Is that
please tell me
is that had he not done it so convincingly and had the facial reactions, right?
The wind up, man.
It would have just been, had anybody else done that without his experience, I think it would have just looked like somebody throwing a bag up the up the ramp.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He sold that really, really well. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
For that reason, for him, because he did really well. It was great. I really enjoyed it.
Sorry about that pop, everybody. That's I don't know what it is. I've been having this like weird. I don't have COVID.
It's Tennessee. It's Tennessee allergies. That's what it is.
It is. It's been death over here. It finally rained out of nowhere, and after it rained, I've just had like this weird like sneezing bit. Where I don't see it coming. Just like I didn't see Sting and Darby Allin winning against Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. I also thought at the top of this match, fantastic match, again, one of two of our favorite matches of the night. I thought when Sting got suplexed on the entrance ramp that was going to be it for Sting for the rest of the match. They were going to be like, no. He's injured. They're going to stretch or job him, and Darby's going to fight the match by himself. That's literally what I thought when that happened, because it happened so early.
Yeah.
But Sting got right back up.
Yeah.
And ended up doing a dive off the casino chips.
Yeah.
And it meant something. There was something going on that he needed to help stop. He was able to fit a dive in when it actually made sense.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And to I don't want to quote other podcasters, but to watch this in a vacuum.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Vacuum.
To watch this match in a vacuum. All those spots.
We're jumping inside a Dyson.
Yeah.
We're inside a Hoover. Still have the bag.
All those spots meant something in that match for sure.
Every single part of it. Just seeing the finish was fantastic. Sting taking his shirt off. I mean, just him getting fired up. Darby getting thrown over the top rope and into the first row. Mm-hmm. Obviously, those people were planted,
sure,
but they didn't look planted.
They can still do that right now.
Grown adults.
They can still do that right now. They can still put the new wrestlers there because they're transitioning out of that. So they took advantage of that, which I think is actually clever. That was good. They can still do that. So I
was a big fan.
Yep.
Two great matches. Least favorite matches. We've got two. Women's Championship match. Hikaru Shida and Dr. Britt Baker. I'll be honest. I don't care about Shida. Great, phenomenal athlete. Fantastic. Don't care about Britt Baker. Mm-hmm. Cuts a great promo. Real excited to see what she does as AEW Women's Champion. I'm serious when I say that. I'm excited to see that. I just didn't care to see the match. Nothing else against either of those people. I just didn't care. So I didn't even watch it.
I tried the first couple minutes because it was the only female match on the card. So I wanted to at least give it some respect. Britt Baker just doesn't do it for me in the ring. She's
great.
No, I don't think she's great at all.
Outside of the ring, she's great.
Yeah, she's a great promo. Absolutely.
Right.
But you have to be able to at least back some of it up. It just looked clunky. This is still, if you remember, this is still the same person that on her debut, I think it was her debut match, ran to the wrong side of the ring to tag, and I don't think that she's come too far from that. I just,
yep.
She's not. She should be someone's manager. She's great on the mic. She should be someone's manager. She shouldn't be. I just don't see. She's not believable to me. You know what really kind of ticked me off?
Tell me.
I'll be honest. Seeing Tony Schiavone come out and hug her at the top of the ramp after her win.
Yeah, what was that?
It's like, firstly, dude, you're not training anyone. Like, you've been irrelevant for 20 years. You're a commentator. Like, you're not a wrestler. You never have been. So what are you doing? Like, are you saying you're proud of her because you taught her some promo skills, or like, dude, do that in the back. Do that away from everybody else.
Right.
Like that's the type of thing that should be A, she's supposed to be the heel, and B, that's the type of thing that should be reserved for someone that is mentoring her, as in a trainer.
Sure.
That was weird to me, and I felt completely unnecessary. And that's more of the everybody watch us pat ourselves on the back kind of thing from AEW that I don't like. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was just a shit nail in a shit coffin for that for that match. So yes.
Yay. Okay.
Yeah.
I do want to touch on the Young Bucks and Kingston and Moxley real quick. I go out of your way and do one thing.
Yep.
If you haven't already. The busted open show podcast special that they did prior to Double or Nothing, they had Eddie Kingston on. And Dave LaGreca interviewed Eddie Kingston about, this match prior to it happening. Kingston brought up, somehow they brought up the exploding ring not really being exploded or explosive.
Yeah.
Right. Or as we heard on Corny's podcast, no TNT, no Dino. That was incredible. Whoever that guy is.
It's great.
Oh, it was so good. The show fucking blows. But Kingston starts talking about that, and he was like, he sold it in a way that I haven't heard somebody sell it. He said that I wasn't even there. And I was watching the show, and he texted Moxley's wife, and she said, "What are you doing? You've known him for so long." And he was like, "All right, yeah, you know what? I'll go." So he hadn't seen anything of the match until he gets there and sees that Luke, the Good Brothers are out there messing stuff up, and he goes out and he didn't know what to expect. And he's like, "And you saw what happened? Nothing really happened." But he was like, "I was there. I was so hyped up in the moment. I passed out. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I was going to take care of my boy." And I was like, what a genius.
Right. He spun it.
What a genius.
Yeah.
So anyway,
yeah. I wish that he had said it the day after the pay-per-view and not.
He did.
Not week. Oh, I thought you said this was like weeks and weeks.
Well, no, he said it again. I'm just saying.
Okay. Well, then
Brandy Rhodes also has an interview segment on there that is just. Apparently, they're doing a reality show.
Yeah.
While she's pregnant.
Yeah. This is
Why have we not talked about this?
This is how we did, and I think you blocked it out.
God. I probably did.
This is how full of themselves these guys are. Cody really thinks that people care enough about him.
We should.
Should we?
I think we should. I think he thinks we should. I wish I did. I think it's probably the best. I wish I did care more about Cody, especially after the Cody and Dustin match.
Okay, well let's be clear here. Care more? Yes, I think we should care more about him as a in-ring talent, not as a reality TV star.
Oh hell no! No! That's what I'm saying. Cody thinks that people that know who he is should care more about his every move outside of the business, when all I want to care about is Cody in the ring. I'm sorry. No one right now that is a pro wrestling fan that's our age, that's spending the money, or even prior to that demographic, is watching Miz and Mrs.
No.
None of those people are watching the Bellas or Total Divas.
No,
they're not doing that.
Completely different demographic. And I just don't. The thing at least about like the Bellas thing and the Total Divas thing is that like they had a massive company with like so much exposure to advertise those girls to push those types of shows. They weren't relying on just their star power. They're relying on a company's star power in order to get those shows over in those markets. Yeah. This show doesn't have that type of star power yet. And especially with the E channel and Bravo like demographic, I just what are they thinking? Like I don't,
man.
Yeah, that's some egotistical shit right there.
Big time. And speaking of having a giant ego, there was a lot of time spent on JR's behalf over the whole night, really laying it in, kissing Kenny Omega's big ass.
Yeah.
That dude does have an actual big ass. But there was just so much time where JR was just mumbling on about Kenny Omega. I may have to call him the greatest of all time if he's able to pin both of these big talents tonight. And then he was asking JR was asking the announce team, like, who do you think they're rooting for in whatever England or whatever? And, the money's got to be on Pac. And he was like, well, it might be on the world's greatest Kenny Omega or some dumb crap like that. It's like, really, dude?
Yeah.
Really? it was awkward. Yeah. He forgot Orange Cassidy's name at one point.
Yeah, he had to be reminded and kind of lost his train of thought for a second, where he was going. And then he snapped back, but it kind of reminded me of my grandmother for a second.
Yeah.
I know. I love him though. I still love him. I'll always love him. I'm not.
Same.
Yeah. But his age is starting to show for sure.
It might be. It might also be that he might be used to a completely different production. I mean, think about it. The guy worked all over. Yeah. Right. But his involvement in wrestling kind of had a very incredible trajectory. Mm-hmm. Right. I don't know if it was NWA or Mid-Atlantic history people. Screw off. Okay. I'm a casual fan.
Yeah.
I know that he was announcing wrestling prior to WWF, WCW, and even before that. Mm-hmm. There we go. But in WWF, you had, for the most part, you had Vince McMahon, you had Kevin Dunn, you had this very uniform trajectory of his success. A lot of his growth, I think, and a lot of his best work, a lot of his most memorable work was done in WWE. I think the reason why he's not how we remember is he does not have the same production.
Right.
And he's not being produced by the same people now. He's being produced by people that aren't that good.
And also in a lot of cases, he's probably self-producing.
Right. And I think as far as a booker and a talent relations person, Jim Ross, it could still sharpen any blade.
Yep.
Right? He could still add a lot. I don't think he's still there as far as calling matches. Is he the greatest of all time? Yep. Him and Tony Schiavone, right up there, neck and neck, in my opinion. Some people might say, oh, it's Tony, or no, it's JR, or it's Mauro Ranallo. Whatever. I don't care. My opinion. I don't care about yours. Sorry. No, I'm just kidding. But it's the truth. I just think that it's a different environment. If he were to go back, like even when he called, what was it, Taker's last match?
Yeah.
At Mania, or what we thought was his last match?
I don't think it was his last match but yes, he
they were selling it as. It was after Jan, unfortunately, passed away. It was the same night as the Hardy Boys. Was that Orlando?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it was either Orlando or Miami, but that was a pretty challenging year. Mm-hmm. Then he got the New Japan spot. Did incredible work in New Japan. Again, I think it's because he was truly self-producing.
Yeah.
He's even talked about it in some instances, I think, with Conrad. And even before Conrad started on the show, he's talked about how it was him. And what was the other guy's name? I can't remember the other announcer's name. And I hate that because he did great too. It wasn't Josh Matthews. It was
from New Japan.
From New Japan, yeah.
I never saw him out there, so
I'm man, not sure. We should add the Wrestle Kingdom where
one thing at a time.
Kenny Omega,
one thing at a time. Okay,
we'll add it to the list, man.
Yeah, I'll get there eventually.
You'll see another Young Bucks match and hate it. But before we start hating ourselves, we're going to go ahead and call it. If you guys haven't already, first off, let us just say thanks for jumping in and going down these rabbit holes with us. We do like to talk. You could follow us Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Trolling Podcast. Lee can be followed at, just Google his name, Howison, Houison. Yeah. What is your Instagram handle?
LB Howison.
LB Howison, folks. You heard it here second. And then you can follow me at Isaac Wriston, ISAAC, Wrist on. Kyle Wilkerson is Flat Billionaire. If you don't know what that means, go listen to the first episode, you mark. I'm spent, folks. I hope you guys had a great week. I hope next week is even more awesome for you in your personal lives. Continue to grow, continue to love each other. Next week, we're going to watch
more wrestling in 96.
More wrestling in 96, because screw the current stuff, unless something crazy happens, which we'll cover it in the news section. But join us for a little bit of nostalgia, will you? Until then, I almost said it. Thank you, F you, bye. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.